today?
Nothing. I slept.
Do you know that people sleep away a third of their lives? If a man lives to be 75, it means he sleeps for 25 years.
On screen, Romy Schneider was a princess, the very embodiment of a royal fairy tale. Adored as the beautiful, spirited Empress Elizabeth in the legendary Sissi films, she became an international symbol of beauty, grace, and youthful idealism. For millions, she was Sissi, a vision in silk and jewels, living a dream of romance and imperial splendor that a war-torn Europe desperately longed for. But off-screen, away from the dazzling lights and the adoring crowds, Romy Schneider's life was a narrative far removed from any fairy tale. The glamour of the premiere nights and the flashbulbs of the paparazzi concealed a world of profound personal heartbreak, devastating loss, and a family story etched with both deep love and unthinkable tragedy. She was not merely a star, a face on a poster, or a name on a marquee. She was a woman, a lover, a friend, and most importantly to her, a mother of 2 children. One, a son, lost in a tragedy so cruel it defies comprehension, and the other, a daughter, left in the echoing silence of her absence, tasked with carrying a monumental legacy into the present day. So, what became of the children of Romy Schneider? How did the shattering events of their mother's life shape their own? This is the story not just of an icon, but of the family she loved and lost, and the legacy that endures, not only in film, but in flesh and blood. To understand the mother, we must first understand the star, and the childhood that forged her. She was born Rosemarie Magdalena Albach on September 23, 1938, in Vienna, Austria, a city on the precipice of being engulfed by the cataclysm of World War II. The stage was, quite literally, in her blood. Her parents, Wolf Albach-Retty and Magda Schneider, were both successful actors, and the world of performance was her inheritance. But her childhood in the shadow of war and its aftermath was far from idyllic. Her parents' marriage was volatile and ended in a bitter divorce when Romy was still very young. She was sent away to boarding schools in Germany, where she often felt a profound loneliness, an outsider looking in on a stable family life she never had. Later, she would recall these years with a sense of isolation, describing how she turned to books and her own imagination as an escape, a first foray into creating other worlds, other selves. It was perhaps this very longing for transformation that drew her to acting. At just 15 years old, she made her film debut in When the White Lilacs Bloom Again, acting opposite her mother, Magda. We've hit 10,000 subscribers, and it's all thanks to you. But this is just the beginning. If you want more deep dives, insights, and discoveries, hit that subscribe button. Let's reach those 15,000 subscribers together. Your support means a lot. The role was small, but her luminous presence was undeniable. It was a glimpse of what was to come. And what came next was nothing short of cultural phenomenon. In the mid-1950s, director Ernst Marischka cast her as the young Empress Elizabeth of Austria in the Sissi trilogy. The films were a cinematic confection, sweet, romantic, and visually stunning. Audiences across Europe, still healing from the wounds of war, fell in love. They didn't just see an actress, they saw a symbol of hope, elegance, and a restored, idealized past. With her doe eyes, radiant smile, and graceful bearing, Romy Schneider became a household name overnight. She was Sissi. But the crown of the eternal empress began to feel like a cage. The character that made her famous was one she grew to resent for its sugary innocence. Determined to be taken seriously as an artist, she made a bold and decisive move. She left Germany and the safety of the Sissi, typecasting for the creative ferment of Paris. In France, she meticulously dismantled her own image. She cut her hair, adopted a more sophisticated, modern style, and sought out challenging, often morally complex roles. She collaborated with cinematic masters like the Italian director Luchino Visconti, who became a mentor, and the French auteur Claude Sautet, with whom she would make some of her most defining films. In movies like La Piscine, smoldering with tension alongside Alain Delon, Les Choses de la Vie, a poignant meditation on life and death, and The Trial, a haunting adaptation of Kafka by Orson Welles, Romy revealed a startling depth. Her beauty was no longer just decorative. It was a canvas for vulnerability, passion, and despair. She had successfully transformed from a fairy tale princess into one of Europe's most respected and compelling dramatic actresses. Behind the glittering career, Romy Schneider's personal life was a drama of its own, often mirroring the intensity of her on-screen roles. Her first great love was the French actor Alain Delon. They met in 1958 on the set of Christine. She was the established European star. He was the dazzling, rebellious newcomer. Their chemistry was instant and electric, both on and off the screen. They became one of the continent's most glamorous and photographed couples, the darlings of the press. Romy once said of him, "I fell in love with Alain the moment I saw him." He was my destiny. Delon, in turn, would forever call Romy the great love of his life. But the pressures of fame, conflicting careers, and Delon's infidelities pulled them apart. Their engagement ended dramatically in 1963, yet a profound, unbreakable bond remained between them for the rest of her life. Seeking stability after the storm of Delon, Romy married German actor and director Harry Mayen in 1966. At the height of her fame, she tried to build a conventional family life. That same year, she gave birth to her first child, David Christopher Mayen. Becoming a mother was a transformative, grounding experience for Romy. She famously said, "My son is my best role," a powerful statement that revealed where her true priorities lay. Friends described her as radiant in David's presence, a devoted mother who tried to shield her sensitive, intelligent son from the chaos of her stardom. But her marriage to Mayen unraveled. He struggled with severe depression, and the relationship crumbled under the strain, ending in divorce in 1975. The separation was difficult, but the final blow came 4 years later when Harry Mayen died by suicide. His death left Romy reeling, adding another deep scar of loss and guilt to her private world. Amid this personal turmoil, Romy married Daniel Biasini, her former secretary, in 1975. He was younger than her, and many in her circle doubted the relationship. Yet, together, they welcomed her second child, Sarah Magdalena Biasini, in 1977. With Sarah, Romy spoke of hope and renewal, telling the press, "When I look into my daughter's eyes, I see the chance for a new beginning." She was determined to be more present, to slow down her career, and cherish the simple moments of motherhood she felt she had sometimes missed with David. Then, on July 5, 1981, the unthinkable happened. David, now 14, was spending part of his summer vacation at the home of his late father, Harry Mayen. While playing alone, he attempted to climb a spiked wrought iron fence. He lost his footing and fell, becoming impaled on the metal spikes. He died instantly. The loss was cataclysmic. It shattered the very foundation of Romy's world. A close family friend described her reaction as the most painful scream I ever heard in my life. That cry, they said, carried all the sorrow of a mother losing her child. From that day on, Romy was a ghost of her former self. She visited David's grave daily, kept his room exactly as he had left it, and was reported to have confided to a friend in her deepest despair, "I am dead too. I am just still walking around." The light that had once defined her was extinguished, replaced by an all-consuming grief. Romy's profound sorrow was now etched permanently onto her face, and it lent a harrowing, raw depth to her final film roles. Critics noted that her performances in what would be her last years, particularly in La Passante du Sans-Souci, were almost too painful to watch, so visceral was her portrayal of loss. She drowned her grief in work and, by some accounts, in alcohol, but the wound was too deep. Less than a year after David's death, on May 29, 1982, Romy Schneider was found dead in her Paris apartment. She was just 43 years old. The official cause was listed as a heart attack. While rumors of suicide swirled, her family and close friends insisted that her heart had simply given out, broken under the weight of an unbearable burden. Her 5-year-old daughter, Sarah, was now left without a mother, her childhood destined to be defined by this double absence, first her brother, then her mother. For the world, Romy Schneider's death was the end of a star. But for her daughter, Sarah, it was the beginning of a lifetime of navigating a complex legacy. Raised primarily by her father, Daniel Biasini, who worked diligently to give her a normal life away from the media, Sarah grew up surrounded by what she later called a wall of silence about her mother. It was a topic too painful for those around her to discuss. Because of this, she discovered Romy primarily through her films, creating a unique and distant relationship with the iconic figure the world mourned. Romy's legend, however, only grew stronger after her passing. In 2008, decades after her death, she was posthumously awarded a César Award, France's highest cinematic honor. The award was presented by Alain Delon. His voice trembled with emotion as he dedicated it to her, calling out to his long-lost love in front of a tearful audience. It was more than a tribute. It was a final public act of love, a poignant closure to one of cinema's great romances. Her final resting place is in the small village of Boissy-sans-Avoir, west of Paris, where she is buried beside her son, David. The gravesite has become a place of pilgrimage for fans from around the world, who leave flowers, photographs, and letters, ensuring that the mother and son are forever remembered together. Meanwhile, Sarah Biasini quietly carved her own path. She studied art history at the Sorbonne and then trained at the Lee Strasberg Institute in Los Angeles, deliberately learning her craft on her own terms. She built a steady, respected career in French cinema and theater, taking on roles that interested her, never seeking the blinding fame that her mother had known. She has been fiercely protective of her own identity, stating clearly, "I am not the heiress of Romy Schneider. I am the daughter of Romy Schneider." There is a difference. In 2021, Sarah published a memoir, La Beauté du Ciel, The Beauty of the Sky, a title taken from a line in her mother's own writing about finding solace. In it, she finally broke the silence of her childhood, exploring the weight of her legacy with remarkable grace and insight. She wrote, "I grew up without a mother, but with a presence that never left me." She described the surreal experience of being approached by strangers who would weep upon seeing her, calling them tears for lost time. Tears for the years Romy never had with her daughter and for the artistry the world was denied. Guided by her godfather, Alain Delon, who has been a constant and protective second father in her life, Sarah has found her own peace. She shares her life with her partner, Gil Lefebvre, and in 2018, she became a mother herself to a daughter named Anna. This experience brought a new, profound understanding. Sarah wrote that in becoming a mother, she finally grasped the weight of her love and the magnitude of her sorrow. Romy Schneider's life was a story of brilliant light and devastating darkness. On screen, she was the eternal empress, a symbol of beauty and romance for generations. Off screen, she was a woman who loved with a fierce passion and endured losses that would break most spirits. Her story did not end in a Paris apartment in 1982. It continues in the quiet strength of her daughter, Sarah, who carries her memory not as a burden, but as a part of her own story. And it blooms anew in the laughter of her granddaughter, Anna, a legacy of love, resilience, and the fragile, enduring beauty of life, finally finding its way forward.